To move a little north and a little west to Pike County, Ohio. This is an upcoming trial that has just seated a jury. Opening statements will be next week. This is the case of George Wagner IV. He's facing 8 counts of aggravated murder, among many other charges, all related to the 2016 shooting deaths of the Rhoden family, 7 in that family, plus Hannah Gilley, all over this apparent child custody dispute. And it really is a Hatfields and McCoys kind of scenario set up. Jake and Angela Wagner, the defendant's mother, pled guilty to the killings in exchange for better sentences, primarily taking the death penalty off the table, and most importantly, they're going to testify in this trial. So right now, we have Angenette Levy with us. She had the opportunity to join not with the jury, I guess you were separated in terms of vehicles and spacing, I'm sure, but rarely does the press get to go along on a jury site visit. Also rare, they were just thrown in the box yesterday, and it's like, okay, now you're jury members. Let's hit the road and see these crime scenes. But how important is that? It's just a fundamental, foundational bit of information that will help them so much in this trial, don't you think? And tell me about your experience, Angenette.
Yeah, well, Michael, it was very important. And I want to make clear here, in the state of Ohio, the press can go along on a jury view. There's a precedent for that. And I've actually covered quite a few trials in Ohio, really in the Cincinnati area, where we were allowed to go on the jury view. Now, you can't get up close to the jurors, and you can't, shoot video of them, of course, or take photographs of them. But you are allowed to go along. You just have to keep your distance and shoot some video. And that's what we did yesterday. That jury of 9 women and 3 men was seated late Tuesday. There are 6 alternates, 5 women, 1 man make up the alternates, and they were told, you're going to go visit several places, or really like about 9 or 11 locations that they were told they were going to visit over 2 days. And this is very important because you have 3 crime scenes on what is called Union Hill Road. And this is where 7 of the family members were murdered on 3 different pieces of property. There were 3 trailers, 1 on each piece of property. And Jake Wagner basically told prosecutors that they went to each trailer one by one and killed those members of the family. They then went about 7.5 miles away to a camper owned by Kenneth Rhoden, and that is where he was shot in the eye as he was sleeping in his camper. So we went down to that area as well. We also did quite a bit of driving. We were told we were going to be taken not only to the crime scenes, but we were going to be taken to roads and routes that these people drove. And there would be relevant points of interest pointed out along the way. There were several times we stopped along the road, and some of these roads were gravel 1-lane roads, very narrow, and it was very difficult to navigate. But we did it. So, and we didn't know exactly at sometimes what was relevant that the bailiff was pointing out to the jurors, but he would point up and talk to them and say whatever he was saying. And we were kind of puzzled because we're like, why are we stopping here? What is the significance of this location? I guess we'll find out next week. And then we went to one county to the west called Adams County, right next to Pike County. And that's where we visited the home where George, Angela, and Jake Wagner lived at the time of these murders. And really, prosecutors are going to say this is basically where they planned this thing. This is where it went down. And this is also where prosecutors say they found shell casings that had these unique signatures on them from when they were fired from a particular handgun. And they say that they matched those shell casings in the driveway of that Peterson Road home to some of the shell casings found at the crime scenes. And that's one of the ways they were able to link, they say, the Wagners to these murders. Also found on that Peterson Road property was parts of a homemade silencer. They have alleged that the Wagners made homemade silencers in order to carry out these homicides, and a burned VCR or some type of video recorder that was part of the Rhoden's surveillance camera system. Prosecutors have said that they basically stole all of the trail cameras and surveillance cameras from their home security system and then burned the recorder so there would be no evidence of them being seen there. So it was a very long day. This went on from about 9:30 yesterday morning till 7 p.m. last night, and it's continuing today. Today is day 2 of the jury view.
So where are they going? I got to ask, first of all, before we get into what's happening today, give me your take on, the preservation of those sites. We know from this case we're following in the Nicholas Cruz matter, when they went to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, it was like preserved from 4 years ago. This has been 6 years for the case in Pike County. What was the condition of these different crime scenes?
Well, as you saw, if we can put the video back up, all of these different pieces of property, right now it's basically just grass, and you'll see maybe in some pieces of the video there's maybe like a barn, or there are some, old cars parked there, because Chris Rhoden Sr. used to fix up old cars and sell them at auctions. Also, very sadly, at Clarence and Hannah Hazel Gilley's home, there was a wood deck with still a child's, kind of like a Hot Wheels bike. We used to call them Big Wheels when I was a kid. So that was sitting there. So in many ways, these crime scenes are frozen in time. But you'll notice you're not seeing the trailers where they lived there. And that's significant, because a month after the homicides, the investigators and the prosecutors actually paid to have these trailers hoisted up on trucks, and they were moved into storage. So these trailers have been in storage, sealed up, for more than 6 years now. And the jurors will be taken to an impound lot today where those trailers are in storage. Also at that impound lot is the vehicle that we believe prosecutors say Jake Wagner told them they purchased specifically to carry out these murders. So apparently this vehicle was purchased just for that night only. They used it to carry out the homicides, and then they hid it until Jake confessed. This is all according to Jake Wagner, of course, who will testify against his brother. So there's another long day for the jurors today. They also visited the family's Flying W farm that is owned by their grandmother. It's a huge, huge, beautiful horse farm where they breed horses. And so they visited that scene today as well.
Boy, it's going to be interesting to see those actual. When I hear trailer, I really don't know. Is it a double wide? Is it something you tow? I really would love to see the spatial orientation there, which this jury is now going to get to see. Let me ask you this as we prep for the opening statements on Tuesday after the holiday. Any dangling motions out there? Any issues you're aware of that need to be resolved prior to trial?
There are probably a couple of things like housekeeping issues that need to be taken up. We've been led to believe there could be a hearing on Friday. We're still waiting to see if that actually happens. So we may know more about that later in the day. Okay,
so Jake and Angela, obviously key witnesses. Any insights? Are they going to have to build the case before they drop these two on there? Or are they going to come out of the gate with this powerful testimony from the co-defendants who have pled out?
Well, it appears to us, at least, that they may start chronologically. The subpoenas that we've seen filed with the court so far list family members of the Rhodens. One in particular is Bobby Jo Manley, and that is the sister of Dana Manley Rhoden, who was the ex-wife of Chris Sr. and the mother of Hannah May, who had the child with Jake Wagner that is believed to be at the center of this whole case. Like, there was this custody battle over this little girl, and the Wagners wanted custody of the little girl, and Hannah May Rhoden said, no, I'm not signing over custody. I'm not doing it. I think they're going to call Bobby Jo Manley first, because she found Chris Rhoden Sr.'s body that morning of April 22nd, 2016. She would go over to the home to feed the chickens, and I think there was a pig there, and the dogs. She comes up there and she sees this, she sees the dogs sitting on the front porch, which was terribly unusual. They're usually inside. She goes inside, and she says there's blood all over the house, and this, really chilling 911 call that she placed. Then also on the subpoenas we've seen are Bobby Jo Manley's brother. His name is James. They call him George, but his name is James Manley. He's been subpoenaed for next Tuesday as well. She calls her brother. He finds some of the other bodies. He finds the bodies of Chris Jr., Hannah May, and Dana in their trailer home. I guess they're really called mobile homes these days, but they're found in there, and then Frankie and Hazel as well. So it appears that James and Bobby Jo Bobby Joe found the other bodies. So they are probably going to be two of the first witnesses you hear from next week.
Wow, I know you mentioned the gender breakdown on the jury, but this is a tiny area. I mean, you know, everybody probably knows one another, knows of one another, maybe related to one another. Anything about the jury makeup in terms of jobs or other characteristics you think might be important here?
You know, I don't know if their jobs are so important. One of the alternate jurors had court experience. She had been in the military and said she had some experience there. She had actually testified at grand jury in Pike County before because she used to work in loss prevention. So she had testified about some shoplifting cases. Very interesting you bring up, Michael, that everybody knows everybody down there or everybody's related. One of the alternate jurors, a man, the only man who's on the alternate panel, was actually related to one of the 12 jurors in the box, you know, one of the 12 official jurors, and they had a big laugh about that in the courtroom. You know, she said, yeah, your mom or your grandma is married to my blah, 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 and this, you know, it was like this convoluted kind of relationship, but they obviously knew one another and would see each other at family functions, funerals, weddings, things like that. And this other prospective juror sitting in the gallery said, you know, that's Pike County, you know, and everybody in the courtroom erupted in laughter, even the judge, because that's just how it is out there. There are between 27,000 and 28,000 people in this county, so your jury pool is going to be very small. And this is just a community where a lot of people either know one another or are related somehow, some way, by marriage or what have you.